Tonight, KITV4 News investigates the high percentage of state officials who send their children to private school, not the public schools they oversee.
And we conducted a similar survey 7 years ago, but several key factors have changed since then. The issue took on greater importance this year when public school students and teachers have been out of school for at least 17 furlough days. KITV4's Keoki Kerr is here with the exclusive results of his follow-up investigation into school choices.
Well, over the past few months, we surveyed state lawmakers, the Board of Education, and some of the governor's top staff to find out where they have chosen to send their kids to school. Now, these are the people who approve a $1.2 billion budget for about 280 public schools statewide. Our investigation reveals far more children of legislators go to private schools compared to the rest of the population, and more than half of lawmakers never had a child in the public school system. The KITV4 News survey found 50% of the children of state lawmakers attend public schools, and the other half go to private schools. How does this compare to the rest of the population? 16.5% of the kids in Hawaii attend private schools. That means legislators' kids go to private schools at 3 times the rate of the rest of the children in the state.
It's very frustrating as a parent, but it's not surprising to me because they have the means more than the average person does.
But some parents we talk to say it's hard for state officials who don't have children or those who send them to private school to be in touch with public education.
It affects you in a very different way when your child is at a public school and it's in your face every day, and every day you're having to deal with the repercussions of a broken education system, a furlough day.
House Speaker Calvin Say, who sent one son to private school and another to public school, agrees.
It does have a major impact in their understanding of what the overall operations of a classroom and then a school is like.
Say's wife is a public school teacher at Lanakila Elementary. He says their son, who graduated from Moanalua High School, would routinely quiz him about public school problems.
You know, Daddy, what's wrong? You know, what's happening? Why are you cutting back in the utilities? Why are you cutting back in school lunch program?
And here's another interesting figure. 61% of state representatives and senators have no child in the public school system. They either have no kids, have children who are too young to be school age, or they've sent all their children to private schools. When we told him about those numbers, the House Speaker said this.
So if, yes, we were more actively involved in the public school system, the furlough issue could have been addressed much more quickly.
State House Education Chairman Roy Takumi sent both his children to public schools, but the vice chair of his committee, Representative Lila Berg, enrolled her son in private school.
I needed to have my son in a school that could nurture his musical talents and his athletic abilities, even as an elementary school student. There are very few elementary schools that are staffed with artistic programs, music programs, or athletic programs.
Berg was a teacher and administrator in the public school system here for 17 years, serving as principal at Kailua Intermediate.
I think it's important for my colleagues and for all of us, community people, to be as connected with our public schools as we can be, even if our children don't go there.
State Senator Mike Gabbard is a member of the Senate Education Committee. He and his wife Carol, who's a former Board of Education member, homeschooled all 5 of their children.
We felt that we wanted to have a spiritual component in terms of the schooling, in addition to the academics. So we wanted to be able to have prayer and to read from Scripture, and so that's why we decided to homeschool our kids.
Gabbard says he stays in touch with public schools by occasionally serving as a substitute teacher. His most recent stint about a year ago at Kapolei Middle School.
I had 5 classes of 7th graders. Got home at 3 in the afternoon. Carol said, how you doing, honey? I said, I'll tell you, I went inside, took a 4-hour nap, and I came out, I said, wow. And so I appreciate what teachers, what they go through.
Parents of students at Noelani Elementary, a public school in Manoa, have differing views on officials choosing private schools.
It does say a lot on their decisions. I mean, it doesn't seem like they care. They can say they care, but if their kids aren't in the school, why would they?
I think it's their own choice, you know. You have the choice to do what you want, and if that's how they want to do it, then you can't say anything about it.
Our survey also asked the governor and her key cabinet members about where they sent their kids to school. We found 4 of the governor's top 6 officials involved in public education, including the governor herself, have no children. Her budget director, Georgina Kawamura, sent her 2 children to public school on Maui. Lieutenant Governor Duke Iona's 4 children are enrolled in private schools. Board of Education members who oversee public school policies send 83% of their children to public schools. BOE Chairman Garrett Toguchi says his 3-year-old son Steele will go to public schools like both his parents.
I think that there would be much more of a commitment and a determination to improve the public schools, knowing that your own child is going to go through that system. It makes this sense of urgency that much more real to you.
Now, we've entered all our research for this story on our website, KITV.com, so you can go there and look up lawmakers, the governor's cabinet, or Board of Education members and see what schools they chose for their children. Laura, Paul, back to you.
Okay. How do the results from this survey compare with 7 years ago?
When we did the survey 7 years ago, we found that 53% of the kids of lawmakers actually went to private schools. So the number has decreased slightly. Today, 50% of lawmakers' kids attend private schools. So there's a slight drop-off.
So, of course, a lot of people are wondering, what is the private school of choice for these top officials?
And we wondered that too, Laura, and you're going to have to wait for that one, because coming up at 10:30 tonight, we're going to tell you which well-known private school is the overwhelming favorite for the offspring of public officials in our state.
Okay, all right, thanks, Kyoki.